Joining me right now is the author of a great book, A History of Women's Boxing. Plus, she did most of my work today for the for this event. Please welcome Melissa Smith. Melissa,
Hi.
thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Billy.
Before we talk about your book,
Yeah.
what's your thoughts? I mean, fresh thoughts after being involved with this event and listening to the comments and the genuine. I mean, this is above and to me. You know, this to me is above and beyond any event I've ever been involved with. It just seems so sincere. And then Clarissa coming on, showing the gold medal, and it seems like she won it collectively for all these women.
I think that's absolutely the case. I mean, I'm literally still holding back tears, and I'm not like a big crier type of person.
And you're from Brooklyn,
and
even.
I'm from Brooklyn, you know. It's just so emotionally fulfilling for me, seeing these women on the stage at the same time, knowing what remarkable careers they had, knowing how much effort they had to put in just to get the right to be in the ring. And then to have Clarissa Shields come up, this young, fresh-faced, amazing talent who has the gold medal and, as you say, collectively won it for every woman in that room. The other thing that touched me was the repartee between Christy and Lucia, and just the love there. And Lucia in particular in reaching out to her, and Christy in acknowledging the horrific experiences that she's had in her life. Just very, very, very touching.
You know, you've touched on some great points. When you go home, what is going to be the thing that sticks out the most, in your opinion, about this event? It could be something that took place today, or maybe what you project for next year, or what do you think?
I think just the fact that the stab has been made, that, you know, I talk about the women making a ring of their own for boxing, and I think what today establishes is that there truly are female boxing heroines every bit as great as Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Robinson and all of the greats that we celebrate every year when we go up to, you know, Minnesota, New York. And whether it's in a virtual place or we come back to Florida or wherever the International Women's Boxing Hall of Fame ends up, it will be a place, a touchstone for boxers, female boxers, to know that there are women that went before them that really fought hard for them to be in the field. And what I particularly like is that it's an opportunity to give back to the community. Every one of those women who was honored today gives back to her community as a retired fighter.
And the sport.
And the sport.
Right.
Absolutely, in the sport. Whether it's men's boxing, women's, it doesn't matter. They give back to the sport, and they give back to, in particular, to the young ladies that want to make it in the business.
Just for the record,
Yeah.
I spoke with Sue Fox, who deserves all the credit.
Oh,
here.
absolutely. She's amazing.
We are coming back to Florida next year for next year's
Right.
Hall of Fame event, so I'm looking forward to that. Melissa, we're going to try to get a lot of the fighters and some other guests on, but before we let you go, tell us about your fantastic book. I'm looking forward to hearing, number one, what made you do it, and number two, what you felt was, I mean, you gave us a plethora of knowledge from the experience and stuff you learned while researching the book. So give me the most important thing on that, and what made you do the book.
Well, I'll start with the first question because that's the easier one. I actually came at it from the academic side. I'd gone back to school to get my master's, and because I trained myself in Gleason's gym in New York City, I call myself a Saturday boxer. I'm certainly nowhere
She
near
beats everybody up at Gleason,
Yeah.
so everybody from Brooklyn right now, watch out for her.
So I just knew, I got to know female fighters who were having, you know, professional and amateur careers in the gym, and I realized how hard they were struggling. I thought it would be an interesting topic to write about for my thesis. And I realized there was no history. You had to just a few academic papers, you know, an occasional book, and with words so long one couldn't interpret them. Even I couldn't figure out what they were. So when I finished my degree, my master's degree, I thought, you know what we need is a history of women's boxing, and I'm going to do it. So approached a publisher, pitched the book, and voila, here we are 2 years later. In terms of the overarching theme, it's one of courage, perseverance, bravery, and also the fact that it tells the story within a larger context of the social history of women as they progressed, specifically in physical activities. I mean, there was a time in the United States when girls weren't allowed to do anything but play croquet. I mean, it's just crazy.
And stir the sauce.
Right, and stir the sauce and sit in a rocking chair, waiting for the baby to come because, that was the idea. So,
I know we talked before this event started, and we were talking about back in the bare knuckle days. I was very interested in the stories you were telling about the first, specifically the first calling out. I had a dispute.
And it was 1722.
And that was something that we had. We didn't talk about that specifically, but I was glad to have learned that. As far as the book is going, how is the sales going? I mean, is there interest in it? I know any boxing book is tough, but how is this going? Especially since you kind of had the luxury of being on the heels of Clarissa Shields winning, and that seems to be the foundation of this resurgence. It seems to me in women's boxing.
Yeah, certainly it gives it a level of legitimacy that didn't exist prior to the fact that it was an Olympic sport. Never mind that America took home the gold, which just added to it. And Clarissa, as a talent, is such an explosive, extraordinary boxer, just pure boxer, period. It kind of added to it. And anyone who knows about boxing, who's seen her fight, goes, oh my God, when is she turning pro? But in terms of the book, I'm doing what I can to publicize it into the boxing world, and then outside of the boxing world, it is available online on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. I've been doing events like these, trying to publicize it and doing what I can to sell out hawk books one book at a time.
Well, we're going to get you on our show,
Yes.
and I'm going to give you some information on how we have a Billy C. Book Club.
Oh, great.
And we put that on, and we link it to it, so we're going to hook you up with that. I appreciate you taking some time with us.
Thank you.
And I wish you all the best, and I hope to see you back here next year, maybe before.
Absolutely.
And maybe we were
We'll
talking
hang
about
out in Lake George.
Right. Well, we were talking about, better yet, we could do the restaurant that I was telling you about.
Oh,
down
yes,
in
that
Manhattan.
sounds perfect.
Right.
All right.
So,
Thank you so, Billy.
Melissa, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the time.
We're going to